Hey guys, welcome back. It's Miss Campbell one more time. Um, we are today working on Module 19, Lesson 3. It starts on page 635 of your Volume 2 math book. So please get those out. Grab your pencil, maybe some paper if you need extra space to write. And that way you're ready to go. All right, so we're going to unlock the problem today. We're actually working on bar graphs, which are a little different than pictographs and tally charts and frequency tables, right? A bar graph uses bars to show data. A scale of equally spaced numbers help you read the number on each bar that each bar shows. So, it says the students in the reading group make a bar graph to record the number of books that they read in October. How many books did Seth read? Okay, now let's look at this. Before we start figuring out all the information, let's just look at this bar graph to begin with. So the first thing it has here is the title, Books Read in October. Okay, that tells you what all the information is talking about in this graph. Each bar is labeled with the student's name. So Max is purple, Amy's blue, Seth is green, and Kate is red. That's the student. And it'll even right down here, it'll label that for you. Those are the names of the students. Across the bottom are the number of books. The 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16. That tells you when the line stops, that tells you how many books that student read. This is called the scale. The scale goes across the bottom. They're all evenly spaced out. You don't have some narrow and some apart. They're evenly spaced out. The scale goes from 0 to 16. And then the length of the bar tells you how many books each student read. Okay, so the first thing we're supposed to do is find the bar for Seth. Seth is the green one. Do you see that? Seth. It ends at what? So here it goes, and it ends at, and you follow the line down, it ends at 8. So Seth read how many books in October? He read 8 books. How many books did Max read? It's number 1 here. So Max, you're going to follow Max over here. Wherever he stops, you're going to follow that line down. That line goes down to the 6. All right. And who read 4 fewer books than Kate? Okay, if Kate read 12, okay, so she read 12, and you're looking for somebody that read 4 fewer than her. So what are you going to do to that 12? You're going to take 4 away. 4 fewer means you take 4 away. So who read 8 books? Well, what I like to do when I have these graph charts is I like to write the numbers beside them. So this is a 6 on Max. This is a 8 on Seth and a 12 here. But look over here at Amy. Do you see Amy is halfway between the 2 lines? So what do we do on that? If we're counting by 2s, what's the next increment in the middle of the 2s? It's a 1, right? So if you have 8 and 10, and it stops in the middle of 8 and 10, you're going to go 1 more than 8, which is 9. Because 1 more than 9 is 10. Okay, so now we know how much, or how many books each of those different people read. Okay, so, anyway, so it says if Amy read 5 more books, how many books would Amy read? So Amy already read how many? 9. So if she read 5 more books, what are you going to do? 9 plus 5. How many would she read? She would read what? 14. That's right, because 9 plus 5 is 14. And now we're supposed to go back over here to the graph, and we're going to add in, with your pencil, going to add the graph to pretend like she read 14 books. Just like that. Shade the graph to show how many she read. Okay, so let's flip over to the back of this page. We have some more bar graphs that show data. Now these bar graphs are showing you the exact same thing. The title is favorite winter activity, favorite winter activity. You have ice skating, sledding, skiing, skiing, hockey, hockey, right? It's just one of them's turned sideways. This is called a horizontal bar graph. So the bars go across from left to right. The numbers along the bottom show the number, right? That's the scale. It shows the number of whoever voted for that winter activity. Okay, now over here on the right, this is a vertical. Vertical means up and down. The bars go from the bottom up. The height of the bar shows the number, and you can see the scale is over here on the left-hand side. So you have to pay attention to the titles and then the scale, how many actually voted for that particular one, right? Okay, now you also have to remember, let's look at the increments here. 0, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. So each of those are increments of what? Increments of 4. So each space in between the number, so if it stops in between the number, how many are you going to add to that number? Maybe 2, right? Because 2 is half of the 4. Okay, so that's just the way you need to be thinking about that as you're working with the different, it doesn't matter which graph, whether it's horizontal or vertical in this situation, it is the same graph, it's just designed a little differently. So number 4 says, what does each space between the numbers represent? So in between the numbers, how many units is that? It is 4, and it is for what? For students, right? You gotta remember, you're talking about something. There are 4 students that their favorite winter activity, those are increments of 4. Across the bottom it's showing you how many students, or along the side it's showing you how many students like that event. Number 5 says, how can you find the winter activity that most students voted for using the graphs above? So how can you tell which one is the favorite? Well, I'd look for the bar that goes out the farthest, right? Because the farthest one out is the most voted for, or the most is the favorite of the students. So I would look for the longest bar or the tallest bar, depending on which one you're looking at. The longest would be this way, the tallest would be this way. Okay, now these are showing spinner results. You know, spinners are where you flick it and it ends up on a different, like it can be a circle divided into 4 parts, and you flick the little arrow and the arrow twirls around and stops. And this is kind of showing you so when they were flicking it, the number of times that they flicked it is over here. 20 times it went to blue. Oh gosh, looks like it's this is increments of 10, aren't they? Okay, so this might be like 35 times it was green, because 35 is halfway between 30 and 40. And how many red ones are there? There's 40. How many purple are there? There are 20. You can follow that line over. Okay, so it says here, how many more times did the pointer stop on green than on purple? So if green, I'm going to go ahead and write these above it so it's easier for me to see. That's 20. The green is 35. The red is 40. And the purple is 20. Okay, you need to just follow those over like that to see what the number is that they match up with. Okay, so how many more times did the pointer stop on green than on purple? So what are you going to do? You're going to subtract those two numbers, aren't you? So 35 minus 20. So 35 minus 20. Okay, 5 minus 0 is 5. 3 minus 2 is 1. So it'd be 15 more times. Number 2 says, how many fewer times did the pointer stop on blue Then on red and green combined. Okay, when you see the word combined, I usually circle it, so I'm sure that I'm putting those together. How many fewer? That means you're going to subtract here, but you have to combine these first, so you have to plus those first, don't you? Okay, so red and green is 40 plus 35 gives you 75 is red and green, okay? How many fewer times did it stop on blue? Okay, so you're going to, fewer times, you're going to go 75, and you're going to subtract the number of that hit on the blues, minus 20. Okay, so what is 5 minus 0? 5. And what is 7 minus 2? 5. So how many fewer times? It would be 55 fewer times. Okay, so here it says, what if there were 15 more spins and the pointer stopped 10 more times on green and 5 more times on blue? Oh gosh, okay, so how many more times did the spinner stop on green than on blue? Okay, so we've got to start off here. Green is 35, and the spinner stopped 10 more times. So green is 35 plus 10 more is 45, and that's the green. I'm going to label that green so I can remember. Okay, and 5 more times on blue. So we already had 20. We're going to add 5 more, which 20 plus 5 is 25, and that's the blue. Then it says how many more times, so what are we going to do here? How many more is telling you to subtract, it's comparing them. Did the pointer stop on green than on blue? So what are we going to do to these two numbers? Right, you're going to subtract them. So 45 minus 25. What is 5 minus 5? 0. 4 minus 2? 2. So it stopped 20 more times. It stopped on green than on blue if you added those extra numbers on it. Okay, let's look at page 637. Up at the top, they've got a bar graph of Diego's DVDs. All right, and they've got animated, they've got comedy, they've got drama, they have action. Different. Animated means like cartoons. Okay, comedy means it's funny. Drama means it's a drama. Action means like superheroes in action, right? Okay, over here on this side, it has the number of DVDs. The scale counts by what? 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. It counts by 2s. Okay, so as we're counting up here, and like I said, I like to go ahead and write in my numbers. So this one is more than 12 but less than 14, so what would that be? What's halfway between 12 and 14? If you're counting by 2s, that's one more, so it's 13 is the red, which is the animated. Comedy lines up with 12, good. What does drama line up with? Drama goes over here, 2. He must not like too much drama. There's only 2 DVDs with drama. And action is in between a 6 and an 8. So what number is in between a 6 and an 8? That would be 7 action. Okay, so now it's easy for us to look at that real quick and be able to figure it out without having to sit there and refigure every time. Okay, so it says Diego has 5 fewer of this kind of DVD than comedy. Which kind of DVD is this? So if we have comedy, that's 12. If you have 5 fewer, you're going to minus 5, right? So what is 12 minus 5? It is 7. Good job. So which one of these equals 7? It would be the action DVDs are what they're looking for in that answer. Okay, so the next one is a multi-step problem. It says, is the number of comedy and action DVDs greater or less than the number of animated and drama DVDs? So you're going to combine these, comedy and action. So comedy and action. So comedy is 12. Action, that's comedy. I'm going to put a C there. action is 7. So we got to add those together, right, to find out how many comedy and action we have together. So 12 plus 7 is 19. And then the number of animated and drama. Animated is 13. Animated. And drama is 2. What's 13 plus 2 is 15. So the question is the number of comedy and action greater than or less than, so which way are you going to draw it, greater than or less than the number of animated and drama? So where would the alligator mouth go? It'd go toward the 19. So how do we read this? 19 is greater than 15. So you need to put greater than, because that's what they're looking for, greater than. All right, number 6 says, how many DVDs does Diego have that are not comedy DVDs? Okay, so we're not going to count this, but we need to count all the rest. So what are we going to do? I'm going to do my math over here. 13 plus 2 is 15. And 15 plus 7 more is, that's 12. Carry the 1, 1, 2, 22. So they are not comedy. We didn't count the comedy. We counted the animated, drama, and action. Animated, drama, and action. And it gives us 22 DVDs. Okay, one last bar graph here. This is a horizontal bar graph. We're going to use that for these next 3 questions. It says, how many more students would have to do a project on plants to equal the number of projects on space? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Remember what we're going to do? We're going to write the numbers out to the side. That way it's easier to see and we're not constantly trying to figure the graph out. So look at the scale here, or at the subject. This is science fair projects. There were a bunch that did animal projects, a few that did plants, space, rocks, and oceans. That was their topic of their science fair project. Across the bottom is the scale. 0, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. So what is that a scale of? That's a scale of going by 6s, right? Okay, so animals, what does that equal? It equals 30. Okay, now plants. Plants is halfway between 0 and 6. What is half of of 0 and 6? What's halfway? It's 3, right? 3 is half of 6. So when it's in the half mark, we're going to add 3 to that number. Just like the 18, or the space, it crosses the 18 mark, but doesn't get to 24. So you can add 3 to 18. 18 plus 3 is 21, right? Okay, rocks is 18, and oceans is 12. Okay, so it says, how many more students would have to do a project on plants to equal the number of projects on space? So space is 21, right? How many more kids would have to do projects on plants to equal that? So you were going to subtract it. You would subtract it. So what is 1 minus 3? Can't do it. That becomes a 1. This becomes an 11. 11 minus 3 is 8, and then 1. 18 more students would have to do a project on plants to equal the number of projects on space. Okay, number 8. You're going to write the question. All right, so you're going to be the teacher. You're going to write the question, but it has to be able to answer. The answer is animals, space, rocks, oceans, and plants. Okay. Well, let's look at how these are organized. Animals is the biggest. Space is the next biggest. Rocks is the next biggest. Oceans is the next biggest. And plants is the smallest. Ooh, man, I think I already came up with mine. What do you think? Write your question out. Pause the video, write your question out, and see if you can come up with a question the answer would be animals, space, rocks, oceans, and plants. All right, so what question did you come up with? I came up with, how can you write the science fair projects in order from greatest to least? Yeah, because I saw that right away. It went doon, 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 doon. Okay, number 9 says, what if 3 fewer students did a project on weather than did a project on rocks? Describe what the bar graph would look like. Okay, what if 3 fewer students did a project on weather? Weather is not up here. So they're saying if you were to add another little bar thing on weather and it was 3 less than rocks, what would it be? Well, rocks is what? 18. So to do 3 fewer, you're going to take 3 away. So that would be 15, right? So it would be weather would end at 15. Okay, so if you had a bar graph going, weather would stop where the 15 mark would be. All right, phew, these graphs and stuff take a long time. I'm sorry it takes so long. Okay, for what I want you to do for homework and to show your teacher that you did a good job is I want you to do page 638, 639, and 640. Okay, those 3 pages. And I want you to take a picture of all 3 of those and post it on the assignment so your teacher can see what great work you've done today. I hope you have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow.